and gentlemen, welcome to Any Action SportsCast. I'm your producer Martin, joined by your local Las Vegas handicapper, Effie.
What is up, guys? It's Edmond, Any Action SportsCast. Here to break down all things MMA, whether it be UFC, Bellator, PFL, you name it. If there's a window to make some money, we're going to go ahead and hit it. We got a big week, UFC 269, down the street, 155 title on the line, down the freeway actually. Super excited, super pumped to talk about the fights with my buddy Martin right here on the ones and twos. Martin, how you feeling?
Yeah, I couldn't feel any better. UFC 269, I'm pumped for it. I mean, lately, when haven't we been pumped for a UFC card? Week after week, we're on Discord, we're watching these fights, we're reviewing these fights, we're putting bets on these fights, but most importantly, we're making money on these fights. Thanks to Effie. Let's get right into it. The fights are this weekend. Let's review the card. UFC 269.
Hell yeah, dude. It's nothing like chilling on the Discord with the friends, having money on the fights. Nothing like having any action. Go ahead. First fight on the card. Priscilla Cachoeira, Jillian Robinson. Jillian Robinson actually a big favorite, minus 360 off the top, Martin. Gotta say, I actually disagree with the line here. You're out of your mind if you think I'm going to bet Jillian Robinson minus 360. That being said, I do think Priscilla Cachoeira catches a beating here. And she's going to take an L probably. I think the wrestling from Jillian's going to play a factor. Yeah, just go ahead. Not too much to say about this fight. Women's fight. Jillian should probably take it home. Yeah. But guys, the next fight, the second fight out of a 15-fight card is can't miss. This is a sleeper for fight of the night, guys. Tony Kelly versus Randy Costa. Randy Costa coming in at a minus 185 favorite. Tony Kelly on the catchback plus 150. Guys, the reason I say this is going to be a really potential fight of the night is, on one hand, you have Randy Costa, who's a great striker, even though he got finished in his last fight with Muniz. In his 4 UFC fights, he has shot for 0 takedowns. Never has he shot for a takedown. He wants to keep this fight on the ground. Other side, Tony Kelly has never been finished. Great fighter. He's a dog. I think this fight is must-see TV. Don't miss it. Slight lean here toward Costa. No action. I just think the experience might be a little iffy here. But yeah, no action here, but going to be a banger of a fight. Next on the card, we have Ryan Hall, Jiu-Jitsu ace, versus Derek Minner. Now, Martin, Ryan Hall is notorious for just going to the center of the octagon and just laying on his back. Like, he would, because he wants you to enter his guard. He's straight jiu-jitsu. He doesn't really care for the striking. He'll maybe check or throw your leg kicks here and there just to score points, but he wants this on the ground. He's a jiu-jitsu ace. He's actually had a tough time finding opponents because how good he is on the mat. And he's sort of a lose-lose situation where if you beat him, no one really knows who he is. He's not very active. So it's not really, you don't get the notoriety of a big win, even though he's really good. And if you lose, well, then you just lost to a guy that no one really knows. So he's dangerous. He comes in at a minus 230 favorite, which, I mean, I do see him getting the sub here. So I think if you're going to bet this fight, bet the Ryan Hall via submission prop. That would probably still be minus money because the books know that's his path to victory here. But you'll probably take it off probably more towards minus 115 range. But yeah, that fight's going to be pretty dope. After that, we have Alex Perez and Max Schnell fighting. We have no action on this fight. Not going to break it down. Nothing to say about this fight really much. Just probably going to be a good fight. But yeah, no action. Eager to talk about the next fight, Martin. We have Erin Blansfield versus Miranda Maverick. Miranda Maverick coming in at, let's see. What are her odds? Minus 140. Erin Blansfield plus 110. Now, I do think the UFC is doing something here where they've done it a lot recently, where they're pairing two prospects up early on their rise versus the opposite, what they haven't done in the past is they'll build them up and they'll give them, I don't say easy fights, but, they wouldn't throw them to the killers as early.
And when you mean build them up, you mean individually they'll build them up. They're not going to automatically put both these rising prospects together because they have star potential and they don't want to, lower the stocks of the other individual?
100, you nailed it. You nailed it, absolutely. So it's surprising to see it, but they're also doing it in other weight classes. In the men's class, you got Movsar Evloev and Ilia Topuria, who actually beat Ryan Hall recently. And it's just weird to see. Jack Shore and Umar Nurmagomedov matched up, 200 feet fighters. That's rare. And so, yeah, as far as this fight, usually women's fights are not that good, honestly, unless it's a really high level. And this is 2 high-level prospects going at it. I will say, guys, we have to talk about Miranda Maverick coming off a loss to Macy Barber. Guys, there's no way that if you watch that fight that she lost. She won clearly 2 rounds to 3, or 2 rounds to 1 to win. And if you look at the MMA journalist scoring, not one journalist that was there at the fight scored it for Macy Barber. And so when I'll never forget hearing the split decision come in and being like, split decision, how the hell? Next thing you know, Macy Barber wins and Maverick has to take home the L. And so, yeah, our first action the other night will be Miranda Maverick, minus 140. I think the wrestling, I think she's a real prospect. I just think she's the truth. Blansfield's also good, also a prospect, but I think the experience will come into play here. With Maverick having more UFC fights, and I think she'll have a fire under her because she shouldn't have taken a loss in her last fight. I think that was kind of cheap, and I think she has a little chip on her shoulder, and she'll come and get her some money. So we'll have 1.4 units, first bet of the night on Miranda Maverick. Now the next fight is Andre Muniz versus Eric Anders. No action on this fight, not going to break it down. But it should be a good fight. Light heavyweights throwing it, fucking slinging fists. Could be sloppy, but wouldn't be surprised if someone gets finished. The crowd's gonna be crazy starting to file in at this point in the card. And yeah, should be a fun fight. And someone might get slipped here. That's pretty much all I'm gonna say about that fight. But the next fight, here we go. Got action again. Second bet of the night. We have Augusta Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa, heavyweight fight. Sloppy, 2 absolutely just sloppy guys. We'll go with the bet Augusta Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa over 1.5 rounds, minus 140 for 1.4 units as well. Now this is interesting because Sakai is coming off getting knocked out by Biggie Boy, and Tuivasa is coming out of knocking out Greg Hardy, but at the same time he got clipped. I don't know if you remember, Martin. He got clipped, and so he's kind of like walking back, and then as Greg Hardy's rushing him, he catches him and knocks him out. And so to me, if you're getting clipped by Greg Hardy, that doesn't really show me faith in your chin. But in this fight, I do think he will be able to avoid the strikes early, last at least 7.5 minutes, and give us the over. Sakai, on the other hand, I don't think he's ever been finished other than the Biggie Boy fight. He might have gotten finished, actually, the 2 fights before that. Yeah, actually, I take that back. But yeah, no, I just expect the heavyweights to hold their own and just be ugly and sloppy for a round and a half. That's my read on the fight. We have Augusta Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa over 1.5 rounds. Now this fight, the next fight, Pedro Munoz versus Dom Cruz. This could be a main event on a fight night. Another week or something, but they put it on the prelims of this pay-per-view, and so it just goes to show how stacked this card is. Even we'll go to talk about it in the future, the Dan Ige, Josh Emmett fight, that could be a main event. But this fight, we got Dom Cruz, Pedro Munoz, 2 guys kind of, at the tail end of their career a little bit. No action here, but I would lean Munoz. If you could get plus money, I would lean Munoz. Right now, they're looking at minus 110, minus 115, either way, kind of a pick 'em. But if you can get plus money, I'd take Pedro. I think Dom Cruz, if the Dom Cruz that showed up against Casey Kenny in his last fight, I think he might be in some trouble here. He's getting old. He hasn't fought very much. Obviously, the activity hasn't been there. But yeah. And
also, Dominic Cruz, he has something to prove. He said, bring on the prelims. It doesn't matter to him. He's here to win. He's here to dominate. He's here to be a champion again. So in the back of his head, subconsciously, we all know, he's got something to prove. He wants to show the people, you want to put me on a prelims, I'm going to give you the show that you guys deserve.
Exactly. And he has the style, too. Both these guys actually have the style. They're not going to go and try to just hug each other up against a fence. This is not that type of fight. This is the type of fight that's going to be in the center of the octagon, guys shifting to left and right, footwork. Dominic Cruz, we have to talk about footwork. He's going to bring it, but that's his whole style. It's going to be an exciting fight. No action here, like I said. Maybe the over, but it's kind of juiced. 2.5, minus 220. A little much for me. But yeah, if you're going to bet this fight, I wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't be against betting decision here. Let's say you like Pedro, I bet Pedro via decision, or if you like Dom, bet Dom via decision.
Now, I didn't have a bet before, but, as I'm looking at the odds for the over of minus 220, it makes sense. Before even looking at the odds, I'm like, this fight, I can see it going over. If I had to make a lean, I had to make a pick, I definitely would lean over 2.5 rounds. Minus 220 is a little bit too big of a bet to pull the trigger on, but if I had to make a slight lean, I agree. I think Cruz, it goes over 2.5 rounds.
All right, dude. You got your first action of the night. Nice. Gonna go ahead and call the audible, though. Gotta call the audible. Martin, we skipped the fight. We accidentally skipped the fight that we actually have action on. So I'm gonna go ahead and break down the Bruno Silva Jordan Wright fight. Okay, this is gonna be one-sided. We have the bet here is gonna be a prop. Bruno Silva via knockout. Bruno Silva straight up is, I believe, minus 370. He's almost a 4-1 favorite. But if you bet via knockout, he's minus, what was it? 170, 140.
Look at the under. The under is, they're
165.
betting on it to go under.
Right.
1.5 rounds, minus 160. Even the units on that is a little larger than, I normally tend to play. But, even the odd makers have it, basically saying it's going to be a KO. They don't see these opponents, submitting each other. So,
guys, Bruno Silva via KO minus 165. He's on a 6-fight win streak. Granted, all of them haven't come in the UFC. A few of them in promotions before he signed to the UFC. But he's on a 6-fight win streak, all via KO. If he wins the fight, it's going to be via KO. And so I just think that's his path to victory here. He's not going to submit him. He's not going to go to the decision. He's one of the guys where his power absolutely leaves after the second round, maybe even halfway through the first. And so, yeah, Jordan Wright obviously knows he has to outlast the quick onslaught from him in the first round, but I don't think he will. So that leads me to believe that I think Bruno Silva minus 165 via KO is a good bet here. We can go back to the proper order that we were at. Sorry about that. We skipped that fight. Which leads us to the last prelim, guys. This is the last prelim before we get to the pay-per-view portion of the card. We have Josh Emmett versus Dan Ige. And we also have action on this fight. We're going to go ahead and take Josh Emmett straight up at minus 165. Now, this line's interesting because it's been moving kind of both ways. At one point, Josh Emmett's been as much as minus 220. At some points, he's minus 150. And so I think 165, we got it live. It's, like I said, moving. Is a good bet. Dan Ige is I think he's 1-3 or 1-4 in his last fights. Or no, he's 2-3 in his last 5. But he should be 1-4 because he should have lost to Edson Barbosa. I think he lost that fight. It was a close fight, kind of coin flip fight. But dude, if you're 1-4 in your last 4 fights or 5 fights, it's just not good to me. Josh Emmett, other side, obviously coming off that huge knee surgery, off that battle with Shane Burgos, and we obviously know how durable Shane Burgos is. I think Josh Emmett threw something crazy like 300 strikes in that fight. But Josh Emmett, I think the experience here, he is older significantly, which I kind of never like betting against a young guy in his prime and an old dude kind of on the tail end. But I think Josh Emmett here has enough to beat Ige, and I think we got a good price, guys. Like I said, minus 220 earlier in the week, minus 165 now. Money coming in on Ige. I think it's going to start to sway back to Emmett. So go ahead and jump on it. Minus 165, Josh Emmett. Featherweight prelim, main fight, I guess you could say, for the prelim. And that'd be it for the prelims. Before we get into the main card, Martin, what do you think so far about the card?
Prelims, stacked. As a fight fan, a lot of these fights, like you explained them, they're very hyped up. The one I'm most interested in is the Sakai versus Tuivasa. Sorry, the last name is very hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
Fan favorite. If it's one thing these fighters need to start realizing and doing is drawing the crowd to them, being different. Make sure that post-fight interview, you're doing something, you're saying something that's going to make that fan say, I want to see this guy fight on his next one. I'm excited for all these fights. I don't have too much bets. I have 1 or 2, but as time goes on, we'll make sure to update that on the Twitter to make it official unit plays. I'm most excited for the O'Malley fight. I can't wait for this one. We're done with the prelims. We've had a good fight. We're hyped up, and then we have the opener, O'Malley versus Paiva. What do you think about that one?
Oh man, what can we say about Sean O'Malley, dude? Who are his UFC wins? How many of them are still in the UFC? Not a lot. I'll tell you that much. the brittle legs has me worried. The odds are insane, dude. He's what, minus 400 against something crazy?
Right now, the odds are minus 320 for money line. And here's the thing.
It's coming down.
Here's the thing.
People know.
To me, the respect that Sean O'Malley deserves, you're thinking, man, that just seems too low. You would think, he deserves more respect. He calls himself the unranked champ. If blindsided, if I were to make the odds, I'd put him at a minus 700. I think he deserves way more respect. I may be missing something the odd makers don't know. Like you said, will he go out to a shin kick? I don't know. I mean, the under minus 2.5 at minus 130, plus 110 at the over. I mean, the odd makers seeing it, definitely saying under 2.5. What do you think is going to happen?
I think you just disrespected Rulian Paiva to the most extreme. That was horrible. What? No, if anything, Paiva deserves more respect, bro. This guy is not gonna roll over. He has striking to match O'Malley. Definitely not the height reach to match, but he's not just gonna shell up and just quit. Absolutely not. Paiva will fight back. He's not a chump, guys. O'Malley should win this fight, and he probably should finish Paiva, but it's not gonna be freaking. Who's that guy with the mustache that he knocked out? It was actually really dope. Where he did the thing.
I'm not too sure.
I forget the guy's name. Eric Weiland. Actually a super legend, like a vet. Actually, super old though. Paiva's not that. Paiva's young. Paiva could be top 15. And so that's why I think the odds are coming in. Like I said early in the week, is minus 400. Now it's minus 320. But dude, guys, if you're gonna bet this fight, bet O'Malley via stoppage, TKO, knockout. He's not gonna. Well, he might lose, but that's probably what he's gonna do. Paiva is probably gonna just play into his type of fight and get into a striking exchange, and I think that's probably not gonna be so smart because I mean I might not be the biggest fan of O'Malley, but I do know that he's that high and reach similar to Sandhagen in his division is super hard to deal with and super unique. So as far as what I think what's gonna happen, I think O'Malley late second round finish.
I mean, my lean, I definitely have to agree. I do see a finish there, and I definitely do see it staying under. Both these fighters, I feel like they're going to come out aggressively. They want to put on a show. They're opening up a good card. They're opening up the last pay-per-view card of the year. Sean O'Malley being backed up. Rumors are will be walked out by 6-9. We'll see if that's true or not. But I'm excited. I will take O'Malley. Not the money line. I will just take the under.
Oh, nice. In case his legs break again. Next we got Kyo France versus Cody Garbrandt. Dude, this fight is actually super interesting to me. Obviously the name value isn't Cody Garbrandt. Anyone would want to watch him fight. Kyo France coming out of City Kickboxing, definitely no chump. A game fighter. Kind of surprised Cody took this tough of a fight this early in his transition to this weight class. But it just goes to show that he wants to get these wins and immediately get to that title fight. He's trying to make a run quick here. But yeah, that's kind of the story of the fight. He's dropping to flyweight. He's dropping his weight class by 10 pounds. Have you seen the pics of him in the weight cut?
Yeah, I mean, he looks real skinny. I mean, if it's one thing I can relate to, it's weight cutting. It's dropping down a weight class. I mean, it's all about recovery. Will Cody have a good recovery? Is he too old in age to even recover normally, like a young fighter can? I mean, will this make his chin even weaker? It's an interesting fight. I mean, him being a favorite at minus 140, which are the current odds, the under 2.5 at minus 130. I mean, I definitely do see this going over. I mean, it's plus 110, 2.5. So I think I'm going to lock that in. 2.5 rounds, plus 110.
Really?
I see it going over. I think these guys will duke it out, and I think it's going to be a dogfight.
Okay, now this is what I'm really interested to see. So obviously the weight cut, and like Martin alluded to, he doesn't look so good. But when you go up a class, it's different than when you go down a class. Like when you go up a class, it's way healthier for you. But Jose Aldo is an example of someone going down having success, but it's very rare actually. And I kind of feel like he was chinny before this, and so if he goes down, it's a chance to be even more chinny. Kyo France knows what he's doing. I think the line's appropriate, especially not knowing what he's going to look like at this weight class. But guys,
you can say Kai's a live dog then, plus 120. 100%. I mean, this is what bet makers love. They love these live dogs.
1,000% live dog. There's been a bunch of live dogs today. Are you serious? Freaking Ige is a live dog. He has one punch knockout power. Paiva is a really live dog against O'Malley, considering his legs.
Tons of live dogs.
But then, guys, we have to mention
Who let the dogs out?
we cannot go to the next fight without talking about this. Cody Garbrandt is coming off a real bad COVID experience. He was on Rogan. Did you watch this Joe Rogan experience?
No, I didn't.
Dude, he talked about how.
Oh wow.
So he was one of those guys where he didn't know he had COVID, and I think he tested positive, and then went to did work on him, and he had blood clots, dude. And similar to Volkanovski, the champion, where he was talking
had
about
blood clots. That's nuts, dude. That's scary to think about. About catching COVID. Like if you try to do a home remedy and just suck it out, I mean, what are you gonna do with a blood clot?
Dude, and he even talked about it on Rogan, where he even sounded a little freaked out about it. He was talking about how it's the #1 silent killer in America. Not to get too dark, but and I don't know. He just talked about how it really actually did affect him, his cardiovascular wise. Dude, he's shredded. You're telling me that guy is not in shape, and for a cold to do that to him, supposedly. I mean, Kazim Chimaev came back from a severe COVID experience as well. Volkanovski came back from one as well, and they both looked phenomenal. So it might not even play any factor, but I'm just saying that is, to me, worth noting. That he was talking about how bad his COVID experience was, and he couldn't, walk or go on bikes or anything. Or actually, sorry, no, he was working out, and it did him worse. The fact that he was working out while not knowing he had COVID ended up hurting him in the long run. But yeah, Kyo France live dog here. That's why the line's so close, in my opinion. In the next fight, dude, this is so weird. We have action on this fight, and it's a weird fade here. It's gonna be our first ever fade the DUI. We got Jeff Neal fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think Ponzinibbio is a slight favorite now. When we locked it in, guys, we got Ponzinibbio -115. Okay, they hovered the whole week around -110, -110 pick'em, and in the last couple hours, money's coming on Santiago. I think a lot of people are thinking what I'm thinking. This fight was even before the news came out on Thanksgiving that Jeff Neal was arrested for DUI and weapons charges. And who knows, maybe he was barely over the limit, and that's what caused the quote-unquote DUI. But, I mean, come on, we're drinking 2 weeks before the fight, before a weight cut.
I got to stop you. Allegedly.
Oh, 100%, 1,000% allegedly. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, talk about red flags. I mean, come on. And then, dude, you look at Ponzinibbio, who's coming off. I mean, yeah, he did get knocked out by the leech, but in this was it Muniz? The guy, hold on, let me see. His last fight was, he just knocked out a really good. I don't say prospect, but a really
even being arrested and knowing that you effed up, that's got to weigh on your conscience.
Right.
Or could it play in his favor? Could that give him more motivation to die on his shield, which is a dangerous thing to give a fighter.
It was against Miguel Baeza. Ponzinibbio fought Miguel Baeza. Baeza was looking great. Everyone was like, low-key, there's a hype train on Baeza. He might be a real deal here. And boom, Santiago came back after his long layoff and looked great. I really liked the way he looks, the Argentinian. But to your point, does it weigh on him? I mean, at one point, when that news broke, we didn't know if we had a fight. I mean, this card already lost Leon Edwards and Jorge Masvidal. We could have had that on the card as well. And then
that's crazy to think of.
When we heard the news, it was like, oh man, please, I thought the fight was off. I was like, there's no way he could fight. And then the UFC was like, well, are you serious? Who cares? Apparently. And they're just like, yeah, we're fighting still, duh. What was that? They're probably like, what does that have to do with this? But he went full John Jones, dude. So I mean, man, I'm gonna go ahead and fade the DUI guy. -115, 1.15 units on Santiago Ponzinibbio. Shout out to Argentina. Let's go. Brings us to our co-main event. Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Amanda Nunes -5 million, like always. Juliana Pena just talking mad shit this whole time before the fight. Not much to say here except for we got action on the fight. We got action on this fight, Martin. We're going to go ahead and take we got double action on this fight. So this fight is actually really important. Damn, there's 3 girl fights. We got action on 2 of them. We go ahead and bet Amanda Nunes via KO. Via stoppage, TKO, stoppage, KO. -180. Right now, we have it locked in at 1.18 units to win 1. But I feel like this, we might be adding later in the week. As Embedded comes out, as the interviews come out, I'm just not impressed by Pena, and I think I might have to bet more money throughout the week because to me it just sounds like Amanda Nunes is just showing up and knocking people out. Like, she is just levels above these other girls. So yeah, Amanda Nunes via KO, but also Amanda Nunes Pena over minus 1.5 rounds, minus 150.
So you're taking the over, not the under.
Taking the over.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, you were talking about the under, and I was gonna phase you because I agree. I am taking the over. The over or the under?
I'm taking the over, Martin.
Oh, okay, then I am fading you, and I am, taking the under on that.
We have our first head-to-head. Any action?
I mean, I think Nunes is gonna knock her out. I think she's got this stigma, like, she's dodged her twice, and this girl's here to prove a point. She's here to prove the point that she's the champ. There's no one here to take her out, and I think a KO is likely under 2.5.
See, that's first of all, the over is 1.5, but dude, no,
1.5. Excuse me.
Think about this is my approach, dude. This is my approach. So I agree with you. 100%, she could come out and just finish her like she did Megan Anderson, in like 10 seconds, like 30 seconds. Like, that could happen. I totally 100% could see that. But then that would mean we won via KO unless she armbars her, which would suck. But I just feel like Pena is gonna try clinch grapple, and that is going to lead to the ground, which then I hope for Nunes to decide to just beat her up because you're talking all that shit. But, dude, if the fight goes over 1.5 rounds, I still think Amanda could finish her. And if she finishes her before 1.5 rounds, well, at least we hit the finish. TKO. And so, yeah, I think we're safe either way. I mean, Pena, to me, has absolutely no chance. He's showing up just to show up. First time, though, that Nunes is going to have to cut down to that, bantamweight title defense, like a long-ass time. So that should be interesting. But yeah, Amanda Nunes, come on, are you serious? Like, she's greatness. She's a GOAT. 100% woman GOAT. No questions asked.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Would you really put $900 on her to win 100, knowing that it's a guarantee?
Yes. But I don't have like that type of money, but yes. I think Amanda Nunes will not lose to another woman.
Imagine going to the casino, right? Putting 900 and she loses. Well, I mean, is that $100 worth? Would that $100 be like? I wouldn't even be offended of losing $100 because I'd be like, wow. I mean, that's nuts. She lost. I mean,
she has 4 losses, Martin. She's not like she's never lost.
Yeah, so she is breakable.
For sure, dude. But no, yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, it's a lot 9-1 odds, dude. Come on. But it's one of those things that the GOATs don't lose until they do. Like, it's just one of those things.
They call me Moneyline Martin for a reason. I love them money lines.
Hey, man. Go ahead, dude.
Minus 900, it's too big of a unit to even mess with.
Right.
I mean, as a sports bettor, not to even mess with stuff like that. Right,
which is why we approached it with a via finish method. I mean, go ahead, dude. If you guys think she's gonna submit her, then yeah, I mean, do it. To me, you can't go wrong propping a bet on Nunes via stoppage, whether it's submission, whether it's TKO.
I don't think Pena is there to die on her shield. I mean, I watch these embeddeds, which is very important for handicappers. I mean, I look at these as insights, and I look at the words that they're using, and she's basically just going in there to fight. She's just ready to put a performance on. I don't think she cares if she wins or loses. She just cares to put on a good performance. Sometimes that could be scary.
I mean, she definitely cares if she wins or loses, dude. Are you kidding me? They're getting punched in the face, Martin. Come on, they're not just rolling over. Let's get real. Show some respect, dude.
Okay.
I was joking. But dude, here we are. Lock of the night, main event. What are you thinking, dude? Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier for the lightweight championship.
Me, I like when the main events are something that you could dibble and dabble with. I mean, you have Oliveira plus 135, the underdog in this fight. I mean, blindside, you ask me, I think he's the favorite going into this. I think Poirier just has a lot of hype behind him. He's got the momentum. He's very active. But I just think Oliveira, I mean, he's just a better all-around fighter. I mean, submission-wise, I mean, if it's something that Poirier is good at, and I've seen it with the Conor McGregor, is he can catch you with those leg kicks. Oliveira loves throwing leg kicks. You can see him catching him, and I can see Poirier landing a right hook on him.
That's true.
And that scares me. That really does scare me. You have the under 1.5 rounds plus 160. The total for the over minus 190. I mean, me personally, I will be touching the money line on Oliveira plus 135. I mean, how can you not touch this?
Dude, I mean, very rare will you have the champion be the underdog. It's actually going to, I'm calling right now, it's actually going to happen again in the future when Cyril Gane fights Francis Ngannou. Cyril Gane will be the favorite.
I agree, and I'm leaning him Cyril Gane
Yeah.
as well.
Just for the future, go ahead and bet the house on Gane. He's going to beat Ngannou. But, guys, yeah, like Martin said, the champions plus money is very rare. It's very rare that this happens. But lock of the night, the odds right now, as we're looking at them live, are the over under 1.5 minus 190 to the over under 1.5 plus 160. But guys, the lock of the night, we put it in when we started recording this. Lock of the night for the week for the UFC 269 is Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier over 1.5 rounds minus 160. So we beat the line movement a little bit there. We got minus 160 for 1.6 units. Lock of the night. As far as the fight, because I just think, guys, I think either Dustin knocks him out early or Charles subs him early, or this drags and Dustin finishes him late. I don't think if Charles wants to win this, he needs to win it before this over hits. He's never fought in the fourth round. Charles Oliveira has never fought in the fourth round, and that's like almost, you couldn't script a better matchup for Poirier as far as that goes, because he'll come on in the fourth or fifth round. Watch the Hooker fight. Watch the Gaethje fight. He finished Gaethje on one leg. Like, watch the Alvarez fight. Like, this guy's, his resume is unmatched. And that's why when people, I mean, I get it. Oliveira's on this crazy win streak, I think 8 or 9 in a row. He's finishing guys left and right. But, I mean, Nick Lentz, some of these guys that he's fighting on this resume are not good. Tony Ferguson, watch. Like, I mean, I get it. He made him look embarrassing. Like, he embarrassed Tony Ferguson. But I love Charles Oliveira. I love his story. Do Bronx all the way. Dude, they're two of my favorite top 5 fighters. Like, it sucks to see them fight, but I do think Dustin Poirier is a better fighter, and I wouldn't be surprised if we wind up betting him straight up. Oh, he's actually come down. Minus 155 for Dustin Poirier. I'm leaning Dustin, man. I'm leaning Ngannou.
Ngannou, he says. I mean, another head-to-head battle. You know, you're leaning Poirier. I'm leaning Oliveira. I mean, we'll see who's going to take this win. It's very interesting. I'm very excited, and I just can't wait.
Absolutely, man.
Look, after reviewing that card, total insight, let's go ahead and quickly review the bets. I mean, what are your unit plates? What are some of the plates? Let's say you have Miranda Maverick here at minus 140, which you discussed. You discussed the Bruno Silva via KO at minus 165.
Yeah, man. And then we got Josh Emmett straight, minus 165. I think he has the experience and the power advantage here, even though Dan Ige does have power himself. Shout out to the Hawaiians. I just think that's going to be a decision, 2 rounds to 1. If Emmett can stuff the takedowns in this fight, I just think he'll outstrike Dan Ige. I really feel good about that bet. 1.65 units to win 1. And then we have, following that, we have, Did we talk about Sakai Tuivasa? Because we have money. Yeah, okay, because we have that.
We got your Amanda Nunes, Giuliani, Panover. I mean, right here on the screen, we got all your picks. We got your lock of the night.
Sweet. Absolutely, yeah. And so I really, really, really like the over on that. Like I said, guys, the main event over 1.5 rounds. That's the reason why a ton of money is coming in on this. But I will say, Charles Oliveira got asked this week by Aaron Brodstetter, you've never fought in the 4th or 5th rounds, like, what's your opinion on that? And he like put up this X because he can't really speak English, and he was like, I don't want my fights to ever reach those rounds. And so he's gonna go for it. And so I'm like, oh man, that might be a little dangerous here, but
I mean, this has been an interesting fight card. I mean, your insight on this, I tell you, is one of a kind. You know, it's an honor to hear these bets. And Effie, I got to ask you, for that normal Joe out there who hasn't bet, and he wants to go to the casino and he wants to put money down. He wants to be part of the boys. He wants to put a ticket down. What would you tell him to put the money on? What is your lock of the night, which you've probably said a few times?
I'll say it again, man. Bet the main event, Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier, to go over 1.5 rounds. We need 7 minutes and 31 seconds, and we'll be in the green. I think we have a lot of playable plays this week that are going to hit. Super pumped. Lock of the week, though. Lock of the card. Oliveira Poirier over 1.5 rounds.
Okay, I agree. And real quick, I mean, I don't got too much plays on these. You know, I've got a few bets that I want to talk about. You know, my bets that I'm going to be putting in. You know, I've just got a few. I've got Oliveira plus 135. I've got the over at minus 190, and I'm taking Muniz the under minus 105 under 1.5. And I'm the parlay guy. I am that parlay guy, and I'm also gonna parlay these on a ticket.
You are, man. You are. If we're talking to the pro gamblers out there, money management is not Martin's forte. But hey, screw it. He's out here risking it. No, scare money don't make money. That's funny, man. Go ahead. You're parlaying all those. That's interesting. But yeah, let's go.
I mean, that's about it. You reviewed the card. You gave us some good insight. We're 38 minutes into the, our first episode, our first show. I mean, you got anything else to tell people out there before we go?
Nah, man. It's super funny how this all came about. Just talking one day and like, just do it. Come over. And here we are, dude. Talk about the fights. And like we always talk about, though, the UFC just turns out great fights after great fights, great cards after great cards. There's so many even fights on this fight. I think earlier, Martin, you mentioned about live dogs. Dude, let's go run through real fast. Oliveira, obviously live dog. Pena, not really a live dog. Kyo France, live dog. Paiva, live dog. Neal, if you can get plus money, I guess, live dog, because he was a favorite for a while. Kelly, live dog. Yeah, Ige, live dog. It's just, we better get some, but like, still, none of these fights are concrete, like, bona fide, this is going to happen, except for the lock of the night. But, yeah, man, just a super exciting card. I'm telling you, when we record, we're going to record after the card. We're going to be like, wow. I guarantee this is going to be worth your money, guys. Whether you're a diehard or casual, this is going to be an exciting card.
I agree. So, hey, start of the channel. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Join our Discord. Follow us on all our socials. Stay up with us. We will be posting weekly. And we will see you on the next one.
Peace.